Good morning, and good morning. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifa Hardy, and I have an incredible show for you today. We're going to learn, we're going to laugh, we're going to meet some new friends, we're going to make some sales, we're going to do some business. That's what we do here on the Roundtable Talk Show. But you know what I'm going to ask you to do? The same thing I ask you to do every day, Monday through Friday, and that is to go out and be an evangelist for the Roundtable Talk Show. I appreciate you sharing the show, but wake somebody up. There's someone who's asleep right now, peacefully dreaming in their bed. Wake them up and let them know the Roundtable Talk Show is live. This show may just change their life, but they won't have this information unless you go ahead and share the show with them. Because as I always say, friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So while you're waking your friends up, don't forget to grab that notepad, your recorder, whatever it is that you need to take notes. Because like I said, today's show, you're going to love, and we're going to have information that you definitely want to write down. So while you're going ahead and sharing the show with your friends, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our very first guest, Miss Jane McCormick. Jane is the founder and CEO of McCormick Consulting Group, in business for over 30 years. She is also CEO of Ormond Industrial Tools, and what brings the most joy to her heart, the CFO and treasurer of Help Heal Humanity, a global organization with a focus on education. Good morning, Jane. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm excited. I love to laugh. I love to learn. I love to find out what people are passionate about. So please let us know who you are, what you do, and what you're passionate about.
Thank you. Well, I started in business. It's actually been a lot longer than 30 years because my dad, when I was 9 years old, made me run my own little business where I delivered TV guides. So when other kids were, riding their bikes and learning how to do simple things at school, I was keeping a full set of books, complete with accounts receivable and all kinds of other things. And I absolutely loved it. I've owned many businesses when I was a teenager, sold them, moved on, and eventually settled with McCormick Consulting Group, which is a business advisory service. And so I'm doing this for a very long time, as I said. And I think after a while, you get to a stage where the business is settled and you just want to explore and do interesting things and help other people figure out how they're going to make their businesses work well. So that's what we're invested in now. We've kind of launched into software applications and things that will really help small business entrepreneurs kind of have the tools that the big people have and enables them to run businesses more easily, more competitively, I guess. But like you said in the introduction there, Sharifa, really the most exciting thing for me is reaching that level of business where I can take a little tiny bit of a step back. And two things kind of happened along the way. One of them, because of a series of rather unfortunate events, I ended up being the CEO of an industrial tool company, which was not really part of my plan. I know far more about hydraulic tools and systems than I ever imagined that I would need to in my life. But it's been a great path along the way, and I have met some fabulous people doing it. And most importantly, though, or most excitingly, being able to give back to the community through meeting the wonderful people at Help Heal Humanity and working with them to build something really exciting. And so it's multifaceted. It's been, an excellent ride so far, and I'm just really looking forward to everything the future has to offer for us.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And you answered one of my favorite questions that I always ask serial entrepreneurs. Were you that little kid that was mowing lawns or had the lemonade stand and that kind of stuff? And most of them in some form or fashion have that, something happened. So I want to go back to little 9-year-old Jane. And you
Yes.
were learning, first of all, were you the only child?
No, I had two older brothers.
Okay, because in families, there's usually that one child who kind of resonates or goes with the business. For your family, was that you?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
because I'm relating because when you were talking about the tools, I'm the CEO of a plumbing company. And it's
Oh,
like, how did I
excellent.
wind up with a plumbing company? And it's my dad, even though he has a son, it's me who winds up being the CEO of this plumbing company. So I can definitely relate. All my life, he was, gearing me. So when you were learning all this stuff, did you feel like, okay, this is something I'm going to use, something I enjoy? Or were you like, Dad, I just want to go play with my dolls?
Oh no, I loved it. I loved it because it made me, at first, it just made me feel really grown up. And
Hmm.
also it put me in a position where I had a little bit of pocket money and I could treat my friends to things and I really enjoyed it. But I also enjoyed the kind of strange structure, I guess, that the idea that these things don't happen on their own. You've got to put some work into it and you have to structure it. You have to keep records and things. And I'm not fantastic at meticulous record keeping, actually, but just I really did enjoy the structure.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, Jane, I am going to come back to you, but I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest. Today, I can tell we're going to be talking a lot about entrepreneurship with the amazing Miss Jaclyn Strauss. Jaclyn, CPA, is a mid-level executive for a Fortune 100 company with multiple passions. She is the founder of her own company called My Macro Memoir. It has become a leading efficiency expert by putting her skills and knowledge to work by creating a secure place for families to digitally organize themselves with the thinking done for them. Good morning, Jaclyn. How are you? Jaclyn, you with us?
Thank you so much for having me, Sharifa. I am great. Here on the East Coast, we're hitting 11 a.m., so I've been out of bed for a little bit, and I am super excited to be here. So a little bit about me and my multiple passions, which sometimes people say to me, Jaclyn, like, how do you take all this stuff on? Well, I take it all on because I only take on things that I absolutely love. And the second I don't love it and it becomes work to me, I step out of it. And that is something that's been learned over time because I never knew how to say no to anything or anyone because I want to be everything to everyone. But that's just simply impossible. So that was just a little, so I digress already, Sharifa. So
I
as you
love
all
it.
get
I
to know
love it.
me.
No, I love it. I always
um,
wind up on my soapbox. So believe me, I understand. I'll be all over the place and back around. So I'm listening. I'm tuned in, Jaclyn.
All right, awesome. So I'm a CPA. I've been licensed for 19 years now in the state of Florida. Started my career at Big Four accounting and I hated it. It was terrible for me. I'm a people person and it was dead silent in the office and I'd bop around like this brand new out of college, like, hey, how's it going? And people would look at me like, what are you doing? Like, go to your cube and do work. Like nobody talked. And I was like, okay, I can't. This is just not. So I read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? And I was inspired. I moved on. I did a complete career switch, went into a completely different industry that didn't allow for the typical practice of accounting. And I kind of blossomed from there. 17 years later, I still have that Fortune 100 corporate experience, which has brought so many amazing learnings and a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. But from my perspective, no 2 days are the same, and that's what's so exciting. With that, I also have a very, very deep passion on helping people, right? I believe knowledge is power. And I had something happen to me that wasn't planned. And by the way, I'm a huge planner. So this whole pandemic I was in my worst state of mind ever because everything was out of our control. And that's something that I'm not used to. That's just not the fabric of who I am. I know we always can't control everything, but I do my darndest to try. I'll tell you that much. So I'm a mom. I have a 9-year-old son and a 6-year-old little girl. And when I delivered my daughter, I had a post-delivery hemorrhage. And it was extremely serious. My family was prepared by the physician that I was not going to be coming home with them. So I had a very near-death experience. 25% of maternal deaths are associated with post-delivery hemorrhage. And we all talk about perfect birth plans and all that stuff, but nobody ever talks about it going wrong. So with that, I made it through and I was given this chance, right? And when I came home, I realized that as the mom and the CPA, I fell into like the natural role of my household CFO. So I was the household CFO, the activities and camp director for my 3.5-year-old son. And now it was going to be a growing newborn daughter. Like they grow so quickly that I knew I was going to have to entertain her some way, take care of her. I mean, here she was, a dog mom, a house manager, all of the above. And all this stuff was stored in my head, organized mess, no doubt. I'm very type A. But had I not come home, Sharifa, for my husband to have stepped into that and tried to like figure it out and carry on without my physical presence, I would have made it so much harder on him because I didn't capture everything in an organized way that was transferable nor allow for me to delegate to him. I carried the weight of the world on my shoulders because as moms, as women, I think we want to be everything to everyone. So with that, I had the recognition, realization that I needed to have an impact. Nobody should be in this situation. So I created, and that's how My Macro Memoir was born, out of a need. When I sat down to organize, I was stumped. I was paralyzed. I didn't know where to begin. I was like, do I start with the dog? Do I start with the kids? Do I start with like where I even bank? What? Like my favorite recipe? What am I doing? And I needed a guide. And there was nothing out there to give me a user experience to hold my hand to take the thinking out of it. So I created My Macro Memoir, online digital binder, asks yes or no questions. I'll answer those any day, but like long, requests for me to go on and on, I'm not doing that. So yes or no questions, simple, stupid, to the point, capture it all, peace of mind, and you're good to go.
Wow, I love your energy, Jaclyn. I love your energy, but you couldn't be my workout partner because you just be like, let's go, we gotta go, I'd be like, Jaclyn, calm down. Like,
I have a Peloton that's collecting dust, not gonna lie. My husband's like, you're gonna sell that thing. And I'm like, no, but that means I failed and I didn't do it. But I'm not gonna lie, it's been sitting there for several months.
You gotta repurpose it, right? So now it's a clothes hanger. That's what you do. Just make it into, that's all you gotta do. I'm telling you, it serves a new purpose now.
Oh, it stares at me. It's like, come on me, get on me. What are you doing? Ride me. And I'm like, no way, not today.
I got you, Jaclyn. I'm gonna come back to you. I wanna go ahead and introduce our next guest, Mr. Dennis Morrison. Dennis is an entrepreneurial creative who originated as a filmmaker. He's a business storyteller, marketing story strategist, and founder of Audience Magnet, which helps businesses and professionals to communicate authentically and effectively. Good morning, Dennis. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Sharifa. It's great to be on your show and to be speaking to your wonderful audience.
Ooh, I love that accent. Just tell me more, Dennis. Tell me something.
How do you want me to speak?
Ooh, we're not alone, Dennis. We're not alone. I might have to be like, excuse me, Jaclyn. Excuse me, Jane. Excuse me, Pat. I'm talking to Dennis for a minute. Talk to us, Dennis. Who are you? What do you do? And what are you passionate about?
Hi, my name's Dennis Morrison. I'm the founder of Audience Magnet. And I'm passionate about helping people realize the skills they already have inside them, but they just need a guide to help them go forward. My background's filmmaking. I've been working in the film and TV industry for, too long. I say over 20 years, but it's a bit more than that. I started at the bottom, worked my way up, had a production company, worked independently, and still today I teach the next generation of filmmakers how to tell stories. So I am kind of the module leader for post-production at 2 independent film schools. And when you do the editing, that is where the story's crafted. That's what the audience sees. So how did I transition into helping people with their businesses? So I was actually in the process of creating a program a couple of years ago. And you know, when you're really good at some things, but some things you're not so good at. And I spent too much time looking at what everyone else was doing. I was like, oh, I need to add that. Oh, I need to add that. And I was adding things that I wasn't that good. And I started not feeling great about myself. And then one day I got up after spending many months of work on this. I said, I'm not doing this. I literally said, I'm not doing it. I went, okay, so what are you going to do? And why are you going to do it? I kept hearing many people. By the way, I listen to 2 hours of podcasting every single day. I've been listening to podcasts since 2005. So that's where I learned so much. I kept hearing so many people talking about storytelling. We need to use storytelling in your marketing. That's the way to attract your audience. But no one was giving people the tools or the guidance on how they could do it themselves. They kept using Star Wars as an example. How does Star Wars help me grow my business? And that's when the penny dropped. I went, what have I been doing all my life? I've been working in stories. So I looked at the program that I had been working on, and guess what? 2/3 of it was about storytelling. So that's when I just focused on niching down on helping people use storytelling to sell their products and services. But more importantly, it's about attracting your ideal audience who choose to buy from you. So ultimately, you become an audience magnet. It's become proven by everyone talking about it that storytelling is the best way to grab attention and to move people on an emotional level. And I've added an extra secret sauce in that, and I call it purposeful storytelling. We're telling stories with a purpose, and ultimately that's stories that lead to a sale. So that's just a little snapshot about me, how I got to where I am right now, and why I'm so excited and passionate about helping others find their own voice, being themselves, quirks and all, because we only want those who resonate with us to work with us. We don't want people who don't resonate with us. So the more we can be like ourselves, the more likely who people don't resonate can move to the side road, and people who feel us can go, I want a bit more of you and our stories.
Well, I want a bit more of you, Dennis. I want a bit more, because you got that Jaclyn energy. I'm like, I didn't even have any coffee or anything, but now I'm like motivated. Whatever you say, I'm about to do. Where we going, Dennis? Because I'm following you.
Listen, I will lead you the right way. The most important thing, I guide people so they create the path that they choose. And I think many people who are leaders want people to be mini thems. No, I want you to be maxi yous. So I like to say I'm a guide that opens your eyes to see the possibilities that you have, and you are there paving your own path. So that's why I'm saying, so I'm someone who enables you to create the path that you want.
I love it. I love it. Now, for many businesses, again, I agree with you, Dennis. We hear that, it has to be a story. It has to be a story. You have to create a story. But if I'm somebody, for instance, and, I'm selling bottled water. This is my little, bottled water right here. It's just bottled water. But then I tell people, if you go to any grocery store, it doesn't matter the name, there's always a bottled water aisle. You know what I mean? And this 15 million different types of bottled water. So how do you create a story out of a product that's basically ordinary?
There are so many ways. Now, one thing I want to kind of squash is people talk about telling one story. No, storytelling is a way of communicating. It's about telling multiple stories, because each person is at a different stage of their journey with you. So it's not like, hey, let me tell a story and it's done. So let's come to bottled water. Well, there's many approaches. One could be why I decided to create the water. Where does the water come from? what inspired me to create this water, why it's different to other waters, why it's packaged in the way that it's packaged, why it's in a certain place in the aisle, why water's really important for you, and what we do in our process to make sure it's not like other waters that don't have that process and may have some chemicals hidden there. So that's just a few snapshots of what you could do around water to get the right people who are interested in how and what you do come to you. Now, if we just look at water, we can get water for 50 cents or $5. People are paying $5 where some people are paying 50 cents because they have positioned themselves as a premium. They're only interested in people who resonate with their story.
You're good, Dennis. Next, how are we going to tell a story about the Roundtable Talk Show? Like, I need some more ideas. What's the story?
Yeah, well, the Roundtable Talk Show is a show that comes out every day. Now, it's not about the show, it's about the host. And the reason why the host does the show, because the host does this show 5 times a week, starting in March 2020. Now, what's great about the show is Sharifa brings together entrepreneurs and people who have stories to tell and businesses that they're creating in order to help you, the listener, grow into the person and build the life that you want to have. That's why you should listen to this show.
You good, Dennis. Just know when you're watching your social media, you're going to see that little clip floating around the internet. You're like, hey, that's me. Why am I promoting the Roundtable Talk Show? Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. I appreciate you. I am going to come back to you, but I appreciate your contribution to my cause.
Thank you.
My next guest is the incredible Miss Pat Honey Otis. Pat is an internationally renowned kick butt mentor. She's gonna kick your butt. I'm gonna have to sit down with her. She's an educator, Reiki master teacher, healer, and author. Formerly a special education teacher, Pat has a master's degree in counseling psychology and is a board certified hypnoanalyst. In addition to her private practice, Pat is currently business manager, lead coach, and director of education for JBD Worldwide. Good morning, Pat. How are you?
Good morning, Sharifa. I am fabulous. I am so excited just listening to these other people. It's like I've been given permission to get wound up, because I can get wound up and just go for it. It's amazing. One of the things I like to say when people ask me why I do what I do is because I'm tired. I'm 74 years tired of people being dismissed, demeaned, disregarded. I just won't stand for it. I never did, but now it's like, okay, this is it. We're putting a stake in the ground now. Okay, how this started was I had a very severely retarded little sister. And I know that's not the politically correct language right now, but in the early 50s, that's the title and that we lived with. And so there were many years of seeing her demeaned, put down, that kind of stuff. I've taught the high schoolers, and my people are the queer ducks. I love my queer ducks. They're people that are different, that think differently, that do things differently. My gang members in high school were just, I'll take them over anybody. You know, I'm in a facility now, an apartment building that it's 62 and older. And all these groups, and and then there's all the other groups of people that just are not seen. This stops now. I believe that everybody's birthright is to have respect and to be treated with dignity. And so I don't personally have, the influences and the resources to cover all of those people. So my mission right now is to lift up people that can lift them up because they have more resources or more reach than I do. I guess my mind's going so fast getting the words out. But you know what? It's like, I want people that are queer ducks that will speak up, they're smart and they're stubborn. And it really helps if it's been someone that has been in that position and they need to be heard. So it's things like, I've got one program called the 80-Hour Work Week Cure. And mostly it's geared towards women entrepreneurs. We all know that when we first started business, we did everything ourselves, right? And 20 years later, these women are still doing everything themselves and not even enjoying it. So what we do is we show them how to delegate, how to put all this stuff aside so they can be in their genius zone and do what they need to do, which is lifting up their clients, right? The fun part of that is when someone actually reaches that place, we go to helping them develop a program that they can really start charging thousands for and get that conducted. They're in their genius zone. The whole thing boils down to being the nucleus of your own life. And it's where you're the center. And I know that's said a lot out there, but this is a bit different. I've had people ask me, how does that differ from just really good self-care? Well, with self-care, we have to keep refilling the cup, right? To bring back, because you can't give what you don't have, right? So we have to keep filling that cup. What this is about is having that cup continually filled, just flowing all the time. So you don't have to go outside to refill. It's automatically refilling from in here. It's like a natural flow. And once people get that, they start moving into these other areas to where they can have influence and resources to push this thing forward.
I love it. I love it. Where you live, Pat? I'm just nosy.
I live in North Hollywood, California.
Oh, so you're local. Okay, well, I'm gonna come visit you. That's why I wanted to know
Are you
if you
in
was
California?
local. I'm in Long Beach.
All right, we're on.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Well, I'm gonna come visit you because you seem like somebody I could just sit and talk to for hours. You know, they give you all of this wisdom that you could just soak up just by being in their presence, like a favorite aunt. Like that's the feel that you give me.
Good, because that's what it's all about. You know, it's like, well, I'm 74, okay, but a lot of the people here in the building are even older. But I want to tell you, there's such wisdom and such talent in this building that's dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's about that wisdom. The wisdom, I've got a little friend that's probably 80 pounds and can write beautifully. But she's been told that she can't publish, that she's too old. And I just call baloney on that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I've had, the gang members that you want to talk about wisdom. They've seen and done things that we'll never. Anyway, I can get wound up again. But yes, please do that because
We do.
Yeah.
We get wound up on the Roundtable Talk Show. I have to watch myself because I can get on a soapbox. I'd be like, wait a minute, I've been talking for an hour and the guests are just sitting there listening to my soapbox. I want to go over to Jaclyn real quick. One of the things that you said, Jaclyn, you and I, we like twin souls. I'm telling you, like we're almost the same. It was something that you said that I wanted to ask you about when you said, if I don't, now this is kind of not a direct quote, I'm summing up what you said, but you was like, if I don't love it, I don't do it. Now, growing up, I've always been that kind of person where I'm like, I'll do something, then I'll say, this isn't any fun. Like, I'm not having fun anymore, and I'm not going to do this. And people will be like, Sharifa, that's what being an adult is about. Doing stuff and doing the stuff that you don't like, that's not fun, that you don't love. But I feel like our society is moving away from that to like, you have to love it in order to do it. Was it that way for you?
Absolutely. And, I will say that there are tasks in life that we're not going to enjoy that have to get done. For example, filling out school registration forms and camp forms for my kids. It's not fun. It's the same questions all the time. It's a repeat, right? And it's pulling stuff from here, from there. I hate it. I don't enjoy it, but I have to do it. But the bottom line is that how can you turn those things into palatable experiences that are not something that you are like shying away from, that you hate so much that you don't do and you procrastinate? So how do you create things, turn those things that may not be enjoyable, that just have to get done, into experiences that really aren't that bad? Leverage the tools you have. Find things that work for you. So shameless plug here. In my macro memoir, I have a section where you can add, I've added those papers that they ask me for my kids all the time into one question. This year for camp was an amazing experience because I went there, printed it off, one PDF document, and I was done. So that dreaded task that I didn't enjoy turned into something so easy and way less painful. Still wasn't like fun, but it was less painful. But you know, Sharifa, at the end of the day, we have to do what we love. And something that really resonates with me that a mentor of mine once said to me was, people can tell you all the time, oh, I don't have time for that. I'm really sorry. You know, you can reach out, and as entrepreneurs, as business owners, you know, we can reach out and try and connect with people, and rejection comes with it, right? And it's about how you take that. Do we take that in stride? Are we resilient? And can we overcome that? But at the end of the day, people will make the time, and they will find the time to what's important to them. So no matter what, no matter how much is on one's plate, if you're able to connect with someone and really truly understand what's important to them, they will find that time. And that is what I work to do. Like I told you, I have a history of not knowing how to say no. I mean, it was my biggest downfall because I just want to help as many people as I can. If they're coming to me for an area of expertise that I happen to have, I want to be able to help. But at the end of the day, we do have to, there's only so much that we can do. And we just have to be mindful of that, you know, be very smart in the decisions that we make and ensure that we stay true to ourselves as far as what makes us tick and what's important to us.
Mm-hmm. Pat, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what Jaclyn just had to say.
I'm so on board with you, Jaclyn. What you're teaching is what I try to teach to my clients, which is, I've always, if it ain't fun, I ain't doing it. And yes, there's things that have to be done. So let's make it as palatable as we can. You know, light a candle, play music when you're doing books, whatever that takes. So it was like you speaking the same words, only in a much different way, but it's still the same thing. And then what she said about that idea of what makes you happy that's the whole concept of nucleus. When you're coming from that center and you're being taken care of too, all of this outside stuff is much better. It makes it easier. It makes it more fun.
Mm-hmm. Dennis, do you do what you love? Are you in your element?
Yeah, I do what I love. I've always kind of chosen to do things that I want to do. Now, what I'd like to say is it's about the journey, because there's parts of the road that are boring. Yeah. The question is, what's the bigger journey that I'm going on? And we have to do things that we don't enjoy. But when we know the bigger journey's part of what we enjoy and love, then we're willing to do it. So I always say, what's the journey you're going? If the journey is boring from start to destination, you're on the wrong thing. But if your start to destination, and when I say destination, actually there's no destination because it's about the journey. It's not about the end point. It's about the journey you're on. We're going to have those bland roads that has plain fields and just a straight road. We have to do that to see the beauty.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. That's why I love that joke. How do you make God laugh? You tell him your plans, right? Because God is like, oh, you really think that's about to happen? That's funny. That's cute, right? So focus on the journey, because we hardly ever, that's what I'm seeing more and more in life, is we hardly ever wind up at that specific goal that we thought. But if you focus on the journey, you get the benefits along the way, and you will wind up going through some door. It may not be the door that you expected. Jay, you having fun in your business?
Oh, I certainly am. And for me, it seems to be, it's a great, let me try that again. I'm just really glad, actually, as a sidebar, that I actually spoke first, because I think I would have been so flabbergasted by everybody else's energy, I wouldn't have been able to say words. So
I think you would have. Everybody does that. Everybody comes on and they're like, I can't believe I'm with such wonderful people. You're all wonderful. You're all
so
amazing.
Awesome. But
yes.
To me, it's like the difference between happiness and joy, right? Like, not every single thing you do is going to make you happy in the moment. But as long as what you're doing overall brings you joy, and you can find that joy and make that joy regardless of what the plans are. right now, especially, so many things have happened economically. I don't know what all of your different circumstances are, but here in Ontario, Canada, we're still under a stay-at-home order. We're still, very much locked down, no restaurants, no whatever. What it brings us to is everybody's plans. You were talking about plans. Everybody's plans are done now. We're all startups again. The whole entrepreneurial world is a startup. But that gives us great opportunity, and it gives people an opportunity to pivot and do the things that bring them joy.
Well, California, we didn't even ask Gavin Newsom. We just decided that we were open because people are tired of being in the house. They're tired of being quarantined. And it's like we just kind of stopped doing a lot of the things that, I don't know, but everything is opening up here officially June 15th in California anyway. But the restaurants are back open. Indoor dining is back open. People who have the vaccination don't have to wear the mask. So it's almost, I want to say business to normal, but it never, business as normal, but it'll never be exactly the same again. Has that been your experience in California, Pat?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I just have to share the first time I knew I could do that, because I've been vaccinated and all that. I could not just go out on my balcony or not just go out on the sidewalk, but I got to see the neighborhood again. And I got to see the faces in the neighborhood and smiles. Do you know how much I miss that? And people,
Yes.
You know how hard it is for people to giggle and laugh behind a mask? It just
Yes.
doesn't come across the same. So I digress, but yes, it's been awesome.
No, it's fun. I like when people digress, then I lose track of time. We're like, wait a minute, this been a whole show. No, that's wonderful. Where are you, Dennis?
I'm in sunny London right now.
What is the temperature like there? Not the weather, but the shutdown and the quarantine. What does it look like?
Yeah, things have opened up, and the restaurants have opened up and stuff like that. However, I feel that with what's been going on, it's been a great opportunity for everyone to think what's really important in my life. Because many have been chasing things that they've been told is important, that you should have, that you must do. But it's been an opportunity to really think, well, actually, what's valuable? What's important? What should I be striving for? And yes, okay, things are opening up, which is great. However, I like to think it's not like you're restricted, but you're given an opportunity to re-energize yourself.
Oh, I definitely agree, because I hope some of the things that we have adapted to, like people having families, dinner together as a family every night, people communicating more. Like my brother lives in Australia, and prior to COVID, we would speak maybe, once every 6 months or so, email and everything. But during this global pandemic, he all of a sudden decided we needed a weekly call. And I don't know how it wound up on my schedule, but we have a weekly call and we just talk and, get updated on what's going on. So I love that aspect, that I see more people finding family, is more important than ever in history. What have you seen, Jaclyn?
So I'm in Florida.
Oh, I heard about Florida. I already know about Florida. Every time Florida guests come on, I'm like, I don't want to hear the Florida stories, because they're like, we've never been locked down. Okay.
No, that isn't true. I mean, I'm in South Florida. Just last week was the first time I could go into the food store without a mask on. But we were definitely locked down, and it depends, in South Florida certainly was stricter than other parts of the state, I will say. But I wanted to circle back to something you said. When you said, you plan and God laughs. My mom grew up telling me that, because like I shared with you all, I like to have control and plan, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. But at the same time, she also told me and taught me that God gives you what you can handle. For example, had I had my daughter first and had that experience, right, I probably wouldn't have had my second child, my son. But for whatever reason, it didn't go that way. And so I moved forward, got through it, right? Because God said I could handle it, and I did. And so with that chance, as we talk about this pandemic and what Dennis talked about, as we reinvent ourselves and we come back out, my biggest fear, Sharifa, is that human nature is to have a very short memory. We cannot forget that although there were bright sides of kind of slowing down, right? They all say we have to slow down before we speed up. It was also very difficult for so many people, including myself. And what it ingrained and taught me, and I hope other people remember, is that we have to prepare. You have to always be prepared the very best you can, because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And so with that being said, rather than being caught like a deer in headlights, do your very best to be proactive, because it's so interesting to me, as I've learned on my entrepreneurial journey, that as human beings, we classify things into urgent and the important. We always deal with the urgent because that's what's in front of us and has to get done. But if we don't start being more proactive and preparing for the important, that stuff is gonna become urgent, and it may be too late. And it may be a situation where then you're frantically dealing with something and adding an unpleasantry on top of something that is not welcomed and you didn't plan for. So I just really hope that we all don't let that short memory take over. We remember the past year and a half and really grow from it and change some of our habits. Because I think that it can make everybody better off for our daily and the way we show up every single day.
I love it. I love it. You have a podcast, Jaclyn? Got to get you on, because the world needs to hear your voice. You talking to the people.
I don't know about that.
I'm just saying.
My 9-year-old would be like, oh, there she goes again.
Your 9-year-old will get over it, especially when mama becomes what I'm not even gonna say, but when all the followers come and you up there, they gonna be like, look, that's my mama. That's what my kids do all the time. Every time I make a post, my daughter's 27 and she still's like, that's my mama. I'm like, they'll change. Believe me. But I agree. I hear you, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because my mom is famous for her expressions as well. And one of her other ones she would always tell us is pray, but tie your camel. That was her whole thing. You have to remember that you don't just want all these miracles to happen. Prepare, tie the camel so the camel doesn't run away, so you don't need the miracle. So I live by that as well. But I want to go back to something you said, and it was so key, and it was so transparent, and it was authentic when you said it was difficult for me. Now, I'm a very reclusive person. I've been working at home by myself for years. I've been training for this moment. I don't even realize I'm in a global pandemic unless I leave my house. And I usually only leave my house once a week. My food is delivered, everything's delivered. I get everything, my laundry, everything. So I don't have to see, the outside world. What was the most difficult aspect for you?
So thank you for asking me that. And I'm going to be raw and I'm going to be honest here.
Thank you.
So I'm a mom of 2 kids, 2 young children. Do not ever hire me to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. I don't enjoy them full-time. I wasn't good at it. I do what I do professionally because I love it. And when they were here, homeschooling and me having to manage that and the whining and the being the lunch lady and doing everything, I could not handle it. It was the worst mental state I had ever been in personally, to be honest. I'm a very positive person, but I just didn't feel fulfilled. And trust me, I love my kids more than anything in the world. It's a big reason why I do what I do every single day. Right? But with that being said, I do what I do and I love them before school and after school. And I'm a better mom because I fulfill myself professionally during the day and giving back to my community so I can show up better for them. And I was not able to do that during the pandemic. I was a really bad mom. So if anybody's interviewing for full-time mom, do not hire me. I am not your candidate. And I am not afraid to say it.
Jaclyn, I disagree. I don't think you're a bad mom at all. I think that you may have got frazzled because I couldn't imagine. My kids are 24 and 27. I couldn't have imagined being a mom and an entrepreneur and going through this. But I've seen bad moms, and there's nothing in your spirit, in your aura, in your energy that screams bad mom. Maybe a little irritated, a little impatient, a little tired, because that's what Pat said. Pat told, she said she's 74. The only word she has is she just tired. Pat, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I just want to reflect on what Jaclyn said. Jaclyn, what I want to do is to be able to take the clip of what you just shared, because I've got a couple of clients that feel so guilty about the feelings that you just shared. And when you shared it, there was that energy of, hey, this is who I am. I'm being honest about it. I'm accepting it. There was almost pure joy in it. And the thing is other moms need to hear that, and so that they're not so hard on themselves. I would love to take that clip and just send it to them, because there's, in your voice, in your energy, it's just pure. Thank you, because I'm going to use it.
Yes, it's okay with me if it's okay with Jack.
I couldn't catch that, Jaclyn.
Feel free, please. I mean, I still stand behind that mom guilt. I wasn't kind to my kids the way a mom should be. And I do have some regrets, but we live and we learn, right? And now I definitely know what I can and can't be.
Well, yeah, but I also think one of the things that I always tell, new moms especially, is that children are the most resilient beings on this earth. All children, no parent is perfect. You know what I mean? There are some times when I wanted to strangle my kids, but then I was like, I can't. I'm too pretty to go to jail. But everybody has those moments. Maybe it's just me. Jane, are you a parent, Jane?
Yeah, I have 7 kids, and
Yes.
also helping raise my niece's 3 children. So we did have some homeschooling in there as well. And yeah, if I had to stay home with them all the time, I think I would be totally crazy. But I love my kids to pieces. I know exactly what you're saying, Jaclyn. It's not that you don't love your kids. It's just that you're not really designed to be just the person that sits there with them all day long and does nothing but be a mom. And that's perfectly okay. That's part of what you contribute to your family, is being the person who you are, doing the things that you love. So yes, my kids, thankfully, 7 of them are grown up. And I'm sure they could tell you some stories about, me not being a perfect mom all the time.
Jane's laughing. She remembers those stories.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's perfect. No parent, but love is the most important thing. When you talk to them and you tell them mommy loves you, and then they'll bounce back. You'll see some of the most abused children. They abuse. And then when their parents are taken away, all they want is mom and dad. They don't care. All they want is mom and dad. Dennis, you have any kids, little rugrats?
I don't. So I'm child free, although I've been involved in bringing up people to adults. So I've kind of had that journey, and I feel the thing about young people is they, as you said, young people are resilient, but I think more importantly, they're learning from the environment around them. And I think a great thing to learn is that you don't have to be perfect. You can get annoyed. That's human nature. It's what you do afterwards, how you communicate afterwards. So I think they're the big lessons. So the fact that, Jaclyn, you said you would like that and you weren't happy about it. Isn't that so powerful that you're able to reflect like that? And then them, as they become adults, they're like, you know what? Actually, I could have done better there, or actually that was really good. So I can't imagine what it'd be like to have some young children during this time. And I think anyone who has a business and turned around and said, yep, it was no problem for me, I'd have to question, is that so true? So I think, Jaclyn, you're being human, And I actually feel they've probably, just like you've learned, they've learned as well. They've learned, okay, maybe I shouldn't push these buttons because mum doesn't like them.
Yes, I agree. Because I wouldn't have been able to do it at all. So many parents, guests come on, they talk about their grocery bills. They went from only, because now the kids are at home all day, eating every day. The kids are talking. I tell people, because I always wanted to know what my thing was, what my passion was, what my career was meant to be. I felt like I didn't know what it was. But then when I look back, I was a talker. I was blessed with the gift of gab, and now I'm a talk show host. But as a child, oh, I drove my mama crazy because I'd be like, why, mama? Why, mama? Why that man talk like that? Why that lady got that tree back there? Why that lady nodding her head with them glasses, mama? And my mama was like, if you do not just stop talking, so I can imagine being at home in a quarantine with these little kids. I'd be like, okay, I don't know, but I could not do it. And then they want to ask about homework. Oh, how do you do this? And I'm the teacher. Oh, my kids would have failed. I mean, like, because I'm not the teacher. I know my limitations, but hey, that's just me. So Jaclyn, we love you. We send you some virtual hugs. You're a wonderful mom. Could have put all of that out of your head. And I don't know, Jaclyn, if you know Elise Thomas Felder or not. If Elise is a friend of yours, but Elise says you are amazing. See, look at that. Look at that. At least talk to her. Go home and talk to her and tell her she's a great mom. Just like you.
She knows. She knows.
But she says, this is what she said. This is what your mom says. She says, you're amazing, Jaclyn. And she says she is so proud of you. Look at that. Look at that. All that time you thought you was a bad mom and your mom came to the show to tell you you're amazing. I love magic happens on the Roundtable Talk Show. This is great. This is good. We are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching this show live and everyone who is watching it in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Miss Jaclyn.
All right, so let me try and do this as quick and simple as possible. I urge everybody to be proactive, to prepare, and do it as simply as possible. Leverage the resources out there that work for you. I must say that My Macro Memoir was built in a very authentic way. Simple, yes or no questions. Not intrusive, not getting all up in my business, because I don't like that. It's real, it's to the point, it's not sexy, there's no bells and whistles, but I promise you this, it will give you peace of mind to know that all your stuff is together. And for when you are not here one day, that ship isn't gonna go down if you go down, because anything you write in your memoir, your loved one and those closest to you will have access to it and not be lost. So please don't have the short memory. Remember what we've been through. Do better. We can all do better, and prepare as much as possible. Sharifa, I love you. We're like soul sisters, I think.
We are.
So thank you so much. And Dennis and Jane and Pat, you guys have all filled my glass today, and I want to thank you for being co-guests with me. It's an amazing thing, and so thank you for creating this magic, Sharifa.
You are so welcome. I created the platform. You created the magic. The guests create the magic. Somehow, some way, it always happens. I just love having the opportunity. Thank you. Pat, what do you have for us?
I want people to know, especially if you're queer ducks, if you do something differently, if you've always been the outcast, the one that people go, there's a place for you, and you can build this place, and we can go for it. I want you to know that it's all right to want it all. I want you to know and to claim your birthright of dignity and self-respect. And there's ways I can support you in that. And here's what I'm willing to do. Anyone that's listening to this show, let me give you a telephone number And if there's a way, or you would like to talk about perhaps some strategy about how you can get there and fully embrace all of that, I'll give you a phone number and my assistant will set you up for a half-hour strategy call. And we'll just bang it out and make it unique for you. So that number is 818-698-8782, 818-698-8782. Thank you, Sharika. This has been so much fun. I feel like we've got some kind of kinship going on here now. I love this group, and thank you, all of you. I'm with Jaclyn in that I got so much from each one of you. I'm taking notes like crazy, but thank you, Sharika.
You are so welcome. Thank you. It is definitely an honor to have you. Miss Jane, what do you have for us?
Oh my goodness. I can't believe that it's finished. There's so many things I want to talk to Dennis and Pat and Jaclyn and you about still. So much that has come up just in the sidelines that I want to dig into and find out more about. So I'm really hoping that we can connect as well. My takeaway is echoes what Jaclyn and Pat have said so far, and that's find your joy. Find what it is that fills you with joy, not just that makes you happy in the moment, like we said before, but that fills you with joy. And then we're out there. People like us, business advisors and consultants, are out there to help you realize your dream and realize your joy. Thank you so much, everyone.
You are so welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you. Mr. Dennis, what do you have for us?
Right. I want to first start with a quote, and I've got it right here. It's by Lao Tzu. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Now, with that, I'd like to give all of you listeners a free gift. You can get that at theaudienceMagnet.com/the Round Table Talk Show. And that is the 4 types of storytelling with 60 different ways you can engage your ideal audience. And if you decide to take the free gift, I'm also going to give you within a day or two access to a 5-day mini course called Sell with a Story, which you'll get access completely for free. So that's how I'd like to help you. And literally those 5 days can determine your next 12 months. Also, if anyone's interested, at the end of July, I'm actually opening up and we're starting our program, our coaching and implementation program, for those who are interested in offering the service of business storytelling. So you'll be able to be a business storyteller for other businesses. So if that interests you, please get in contact, or actually get in contact with Sharifa, because I'm going to speak to Sharifa a bit more about it. I want to tell you that, yes, you can, but you got to take action. Yeah, it just doesn't happen by sitting there and thinking about it. And like anything, if you don't know something, you're not going to be good to start with. So work through that and you will become better and better. Remember, as we said earlier, it's about the journey, not the destination. So decide what's the journey you want to go on and start with that first step.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I have to go check it out and find out more information. This is good. Everybody has sent the links and special offers. So what I've done is put your information in the Facebook chat, so all of the listeners and all the viewers will be able to take advantage of your services. I put your specific offer, MyMacroMemoir.com, put that out there. Pat's information is out there. Please connect with our guests. I want to thank you all for being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. And I especially want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch this show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives. But as I always ask, I do appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching the show. I appreciate you sharing the show. But the most important thing to me is that you support our guests. Our guests were here with you this morning. They've shared their journeys, their stories. They have been authentic with you. So please support them. Their website link is in the Facebook post. Follow them on social media, reach out to them. And when you do, please let them know Sharifa Hardy says hi. Now, if you're interested in more ways that I can help your business, or maybe you want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at AskSharifa.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, everyone have a safe and a blessed day. Bye now.